Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something I know pretty much all of us can relate to. We're taking a really fascinating look at those hyper-specific, yet totally universal tropes of the middle-class family, perfectly captured in the Hartoons narrative. We're going to deconstruct the sheer anatomy of everyday domestic chaos, literally breaking down how the tiniest, most minor inconveniences snowball into full-blown household Cold Wars. If you've ever felt like your morning routine requires a logistics manager just to survive, well, this explainer is absolutely going to resonate with you. Okay, let's jump right in. So here is the core question driving the entire story we're looking at today. What actually happens when your basic survival instincts, like, say, waking up starving, collide head-on with intensely sarcastic parents and the sudden, totally dreaded arrival of unwanted guests? Well, as you'll see, the result is an absolute avalanche of comedic chaos that ends up defining our protagonist's entire day.
All right, let's hit section 1, the struggle of the morning.
So, a completely normal morning is framed here as an actual strategic crisis. Our protagonist wakes up completely paralyzed by what we'll call the 7 a.m. dilemma. He's got these competing urges, right? He desperately needs the bathroom, but he's also experiencing intense hunger at the exact same time. The internal debate is so severe, he jokes about needing to hire a manager just to prioritize his own bodily functions. But honestly, the real danger is outside his room. Simply existing in his mother's line of sight, appearing free for even a single, solitary second, triggers immediate forced labor. It's this hilarious household dynamic where the parents are constantly and very vocally questioning their life choices, literally wondering out loud if they wasted 9 months bringing such a quote-unquote useless child into the world. And because his brain is running on frantic overload trying to process all this, he completely botches his assigned tasks. It's brilliant. His mom, who works as a tailor, tells him to deliver a newly tailored blouse to Pooja Auntie, and in the same breath orders him to feed a roti to a wandering cow on the way. You can guess what happens, right? He ends up delivering a crispy roti to a thoroughly confused Pooja Auntie and presumably just leaves the custom-fitted blouse with a very bewildered cow. The sheer absurdity of this mix-up just perfectly highlights the absolute perils of a chaotic morning routine. Moving right along to section 2, sarcastic parenting and accidents. Okay, picture this. The protagonist is literally trapped under a vehicle after an accident. Instead of, rushing to help his injured son, the father immediately seizes the moment to deliver a sarcastic lecture. He openly mocks his son's driving skills, joking that since he clearly wants to be a pilot, he shouldn't be taken to a hospital. No, he should be taken to a tattoo artist to get pilot tattooed on his arm. It's a total masterclass in comedic timing, and it shows a family culture where sarcasm always, without fail, takes precedence over panic. And hey, the dad isn't the only one with skewed priorities. The mom? She is entirely unfazed by the accident. She's way more concerned with the fact that he bought her black hair dye instead of the burgundy she specifically asked for, and she's just stressing over how many minutes she needs to leave it in. From there, the story layers in these hyper-specific yet painfully relatable background events, like the mother absolutely refusing to touch a dropped tiffin until she aggressively washes her hands, or the daily, agonizing investigation of finding a mysterious, unclaimed hair stuck to the shared bar of soap. And perhaps most tragically of all, the protagonist's only dry pair of underwear committing quote-unquote suicide by falling into a bucket of water, forcing him to experience that incredibly unique misery of putting on wet clothes. Now for section 3, the set-in financial hustle. Right in the thick of all this sheer household chaos, the exhausted father gets a call from his office, and he's terrified his salary is going to get cut. And in a classic, very modern survival tactic, the protagonist immediately pivots into a sponsorship pitch to solve his dad's financial stress. The magic number he presents, a minimum deposit of exactly 840 rupees. Let's break down how this hustle actually works. So he goes into full salesman mode for the Bonomo trading platform, pitching the features directly to a stressed-out dad. He talks up the incredibly easy registration from any phone or computer, this simple system of forecasting whether a graph goes up or down to make some extra cash, and of course the allure of getting VIP status for exclusive gifts. He rounds the whole pitch out by highlighting 24/7 customer support and easy withdrawals. It's actually a really striking observation of how digital monetization is just woven directly into the fabric of the story today, presented as the ultimate quick-fix solution to middle-class financial anxiety. Which brings us to section 4, managing relatives and guests. Look, nothing disrupts a household quite like relatives who weaponize small talk just to score a free cup of tea. The living room dynamics here are just painfully unbearable. The mother uses this brutal oversharing tactic, literally broadcasting embarrassing stories about the protagonist's childhood constipation to anyone in earshot. And in retaliation, the guests just incessantly brag about their golden child, Chiku, who happens to be aggressively selling these highly questionable 500 rupee tablet courses. Honestly, it's a psychological battlefield completely disguised as a friendly afternoon visit. So how in the world do you survive this? Well, our guy reveals this expert-level sabotage mechanism that is purposely designed to permanently excuse him from hospitality duties. He calls it the bad tea strategy. Step 1. Get inevitably cornered into making the tea. Step 2. Intentionally brew the most visually and physically atrocious cup of tea humanly possible. And Step 3. Serve it with a completely straight face. You got to admit, the logic is flawless. If you make good tea once, you are the designated tea maker for life. But if you make it totally undrinkable, you are retired from duty forever.
And finally, the climax. Section 5, the generational Cold War. Think of this like a heavyweight match. In one corner, we have the grandmother. She sneaks out at night to an ashram to do seva, basically volunteering, specifically sweeping up. Yet she entirely refuses to lift a single finger for chores at home. And in the other corner, we have the mother. She is deeply, deeply frustrated by bearing the brunt of all the actual household labor, and she demands the grandmother pitch in. When the grandma hits back, claiming she only does service at the ashram, not work, the mother just goes on strike. She absolutely refuses to cook dinner, out of pure, unadulterated spite.
But wait, before that final blow-up, there's this brilliant little subplot, the Patasha smuggling ring. Every single day, the grandmother brings home a patasha, which is a type of sweet, from the ashram. The catch? Absolutely no one in the family actually likes them. Not a single person. So instead of throwing them out, the family enters into a covert conspiracy. They secretly smuggle and hoard these sweets into a giant sack. Then, at the end of the month, in a stroke of sheer economic genius, they take the full sack and sell it right back to the ashram for a profit. I mean, it's this absurd, highly organized Ocean's 11-style reaction to a minor daily annoyance.
Let's just track how unbelievably fast this tension escalates over a single evening. The afternoon starts with the guests finally taking the hint and leaving, totally courtesy of the bad tea strategy. By evening, the grandmother is acting up and straight up refusing to do household chores. By night, the mother strikes back with her ultimate weapon, refusing to cook. And then, late at night, the exhausted father arrives home from a really long day at work, and he walks straight into an actively feuding, entirely unfed household war zone. It is quite literally the perfect storm of domestic frustration. So, what should you really take away from all this? I think this specific brand of chaos highlights a universal truth. For so many households, this cycle of chaos is just completely inevitable. The frustration of endless chores, the clashing generations, those crazy daily mix-ups, it's all very real. But you know what? So is the humor. This narrative works so well because it holds up a mirror to the total absurdity of everyday life. It reminds us that sometimes literally all you can do is just laugh at the dysfunction. And that brings us to the creator's brilliant final play. To wrap up the narrative, they introduce this mock government-style scheme, the Labadi Video Yojana, playfully demanding that the audience go door to door just to share this chaos with everyone else. It's a hilarious, totally fitting end to a story about everyday hustle and wild family dynamics. So it leaves us with one final provocative question to ponder today. In the grand, highly chaotic scheme of your own daily life, which side of the generational Cold War would you be on? And more importantly, would you drink the bad tea? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I'll catch you next time.